This is the video for Prometeo program completion of Dr. Danilda Duran, scientist and senior agriculturist of the Philippine Carabao Center Department of Agriculture and affiliate professor of the Central Luzon State University, both located in the Science City of Muñoz, Nueva Ecija in the Philippines. Dr. Danilda left the Philippines with her eldest daughter, Perry Lorraine, on February 1, 2015. Her husband sent their off at the airport, and they arrived in Quito via Amsterdam on February 2, 2015. Their flight to Quito was a long one, but made wonderful by the opportunity to help and assist this mother in taking care of her son. Dr. Danilda became a Prometeo of Cenicit, Ecuador in February 9, 2015, hosted by the Universidad Técnica de Babahoyo in Los Rios. She had the opportunity to meet other Prometeas at Cenicit in Quito during her program orientation. As Prometeo, her purpose of coming to Ecuador is to do research and development activities related to the implementación de biotecnologías reproductivas in vitro para la conservación genética con fines de mejoramiento de la producción de carne y leche en ganado bovino. It is her desire to, first, aplicar y optimizar las técnicas de la producción in vitro de embriones de las especies ganaderas bovinas. Second, desarrollar técnicas de criopreservación para conservar las células germinales y embriones de los recursos genéticos bovinos. While doing the research, it is also Dr. Danilda's desire to train the people who are assigned to work with her, so they can develop their technical skills and knowledge on how to carry out the advanced reproductive biotechnology work to sustain the research and development activities and be able to implement the livestock genetic improvement in Ecuador. These desires are based on the fact that in her country, and even in several advanced countries in the world, it was demonstrated that the in vitro embryo production, cryopreservation, and embryo transfer technology are an effective tool to maximize the genetic potential of livestock and promote the production of genetically superior animals for higher meat and milk production. Dr. Danilda have done this when she served as leader of the research team that established and operated a satellite embryo biotechnology laboratory in India. Her team demonstrated both the embryo in vitro production and vitrification and the international transport of frozen embryos to the Philippines. This resulted to the birth of live, healthy river buffalo calves out of non-surgical embryo transfer both at institutional herd and in the field under livestock raisers condition. These are the basis that the technology that she is bringing to Ecuador is feasible and beneficial. The studies that Dr. Danilda have designed for her stay as Prometeo in Ecuador are also based on her postdoctoral research as Fulbright Fellow at the University of Wisconsin-Madison in year 2012 to 2013, where she studied the use and effects of antioxidants in the improvement of semen quality of breeding bulls and sexed sperm and production of bovine embryos in vitro. Dr. Danilda is also confident that she can do the research well based on her doctorate study at the University of Tsukuba, Japan in 2009 as a scholar of the Japanese Society for the Promotion of Science, also known as JSPS, where she studied the improvement of the in vitro culture systems for oocytes and embryos for the production of good quality buffalo embryos in vitro. Dr. Danilda's studies during her master's degree at Miyazaki University, Japan in 1996, where she learned and acquired the techniques on bovine embryo in vitro production and cryopreservation, and undergoing a field practice on commercial production of bovine embryos in Tokyo Biotechnology Center and multiple ovulation and embryo transfer in Miyazaki Livestock Experiment Station, also both in Japan, guarantee that her research as Prometeo will succeed. The question now is, did she achieve the goals that she have set in coming here? That will be answered by her presentation. To carry out her research plan on embryo in vitro production and cryopreservation, she needs to have a laboratory facility equipped with equipment, supplies and materials, and biological reagents. The Universidad Técnica de Babahoyo had funds to procure the needed requirements to carry out the research. She was informed about that even before she arrived in Ecuador. That is why she provided to UTV the list of the requirements even from the Philippines, so the requirements are ready and the research can be initiated once she arrived at the university. However, the procurement office of the UTB was not able to procure the needed equipment, supplies and materials, and biological reagent that Dr. Danilda had requested until this time. Though these publications indicating funds for her research of $400,000 as reported in the edition 13, December 2015, January 2016 issue of the Gaceta Universitaria, the requested research requirements are not yet delivered. Nevertheless, Dr. Danilda still hopes that in this year, even after she has returned to her country, this $400,000 will still be used for her project as indicated in this report, so that the people that she had trained and had sent to various training courses abroad can still apply what they learned and be able to contribute in strengthening and applying the advanced reproductive biotechnologies in Ecuador. Because of the absence of laboratory facility to carry out the planned research, Dr. Danilda designed a study that can be conducted with minimal funding, around $4,000. This was supported by UTB and it was conducted at the Ganaderia of the university, and they incorporated the participation of students and university professors. The study was carried out from April to August, covering 8 studies, and completed on November when pregnancy diagnosis was carried out to the inseminated animals. These 8 studies were assigned as theses to 8 undergraduate students of the veterinary medicine to satisfy their undergraduate thesis requirement, namely Felix Aristega with Dr. John Rodriguez as the advisor. Felix is satisfying the approval by his thesis panel. Byron Peñafiel with Dr. Juan Carlos Gomez as the advisor. John Calderon with Dr. Luis Quezada as his advisor. Diego Chavez with John Rodriguez. Nicolas Chang with Dr. Juan Carlos Gomez as the advisor. Marcelo with William Filian as the advisor. Fernanda Antundia and Ivan Alvarado with Dr. Jorge Sanchez as the advisor. With this research, the students learned technical procedure on how to conduct research, develop their skills in doing cytology, blood collection, rectal examination for pregnancy diagnosis, and artificial insemination. Not only these 8 students learned and have their skills developed, several students, even from agropecuaria who participated in the 5 months research activities, have learned and developed their skills. In fact, Dr. Danilda carried out training workshops prior to the conduct of the research in order to teach the students and have them become knowledgeable and be accurate in gathering the data of the research. The students of UTB were also reviewed with important information related to reproduction such as anatomy, reproductive functions, and important techniques on reproductive biotechnology. Even Dr. Danilda's husband, Dr. Peregrino, spent time enhancing their skills by using reproductive tracks to be familiarized at the laboratory, giving lecture, and going to the slaughterhouse to practice using live animals. The demonstration and workshop on vaginal cytology was also provided to faculty and staffs of ESPAM, MFL, and UPS. So, not only the UTB has learned the vaginal cytology techniques, even those in ESPAM, MFL, and UPS Cuenca did. The vaginal cytology techniques have very good application in breeding dogs and cats. In fact, this is being practiced in the breeding of small animals. Vaginal cytology is a technique where using a sterile swab, we can collect vaginal cells that when dehydrated with methanol and stained with gamsa, a kind of biological stain, we can see if the animal is in estrus, meaning receptive to male, and be successfully impregnated when copulated. So, for veterinary students who want to have a veterinary clinic after graduation or perform extension services on breeding animals someday, they can use this technology in carrying out reproduction services to their clients. Research and development collaborations were made with ESPAM MFL and UPS Cuenca. However, the laboratory of these universities still need to address some concerns like the need for calibration of the carbon dioxide incubator in ESPAM MFL and the procurement of needed biological media and reagents as well as supplies and materials in UPS Cuenca. Nonetheless, embryo in vitro production trials in these universities enabled us the conduct of studies demonstrating the effects of uncalibrated carbon dioxide incubator and use of culture media beyond expiry date on the efficiency of embryo in vitro production in bovine. To augment the failure to conduct research on embryo in vitro production and cryopreservation, as well as studies on semen processing, completed researches earlier conducted and some pending publication works as scientists were written and submitted for publication, resulting to the publication of the following. A scientific article reporting the hypoosmotic swelling test for membrane integrity evaluation of frozen-thawed water buffalo Bubalus bubalis lin spermatozoa, published in Philippine Journal of Science and ISI and Scopus Index Journal. A book chapter titled Advanced Reproductive Biotechnologies in Water Buffalo, published in Bubaline Theriogenology by International Veterinary Information Service or IVIS. Since Bubaline Theriogenology is an electronic book, the publisher allows its publication in a printed form, so it was translated in Spanish, titled Técnicas Avanzadas de Reproducción en Búfalos, to be printed by the UTB. Another paper titled Production of River Buffalo Bubalus bubalis calves by Embryo in Vitro Production, Vitrification, and Transfer Techniques is under review in Buffalo Bulletin, also an ISI and Scopus Index journal. A study entitled Use of Locally Produced Serum as Replacement of Imported Serum in the Production of Bovine Oocytes in Vitro was proposed for Galardones research and have qualified to the finalist level in Quito. Similarly, a study titled Efficiency of Vaginal Cytology in Predicting the Ovarian Status and Reproductive Condition of Bovine was also proposed for Galardones research and have passed the Cenacit screening and was one of the proposals presented in Guayaquil. A paper titled Embryo in Vitro Production, Vitrification, and Transfer Techniques, Efficiency in Water Buffaloes and Potentials for Livestock Genetic Improvement in Ecuador was submitted in the journal Revista Universidad de Guayaquil and was requested by the editorial board to have it translated into Spanish, so it is under Spanish translation now. This paper, Producción de Búfalos Bubalus bubalis, genéticamente superiores a través de producción y vitrificación de embriones in vitro y técnicas de transferencia en Filipinas, was presented by a mentored researcher during the IV Evento Internacional La Universidad en el Siglo XXI and will be published in the proceeding of the said conference. Research collaboration with ESPAM MFL through Dr. Ignacio Macias on comparative studies of different superovulation treatment on ovarian responses of different breeds of cattle was conducted and additional data is to be collected. Co-authored with Dr. Danilda's daughter, Perry Lorraine H. Duran, a training manual on embryo in vitro production and sexing for ESPAM MFL. Also, a laboratory handbook on embryo in vitro production, sexing, and cryopreservation for UPS Cuenca and UTB, and the protocols and procedures for the production of bovine embryos in vitro for the UTB. So all in all, Dr. Danilda Duran have published one scientific paper in Scopus Index Journal with another one under review, one under Spanish translation, one book, 3 laboratory manual and handbooks, and have 4 pending scientific papers for writing. While doing the research, it is also Dr. Danilda's desire to train the people who are assigned to work with her to develop their technical skills and knowledge on how to carry out the advanced reproductive biotechnology work so that they could sustain the research and development activities and be able to implement the livestock genetic improvement in Ecuador. With this, engineers Maria Eugenia Romero and Lenin Arana Vera of UTB were able to go to Japan for a 2-month training course on multiple ovulation and embryo transfer, where they also learned the techniques on in vivo collection of embryos. This was followed by sending 3 Ecuadorians to the Philippines, namely Engineer Maria Eugenia Romero of UTB, Dr. Leopoldo Viteri of ESPAM MFL, and Mr. Santiago Reyes of University of Guayaquil. They underwent training course on dairy herd improvement through advanced reproductive biotechnologies, where they learned the techniques of embryo in vitro production, ovum pickup, in vivo collection of embryos, and embryo transfer, rectal palpation, and artificial insemination. To implement in-house training and develop the system right in Ecuador, Dr. Danilda also organized and arranged a training course where 2 experts from Japan and 1 from the Philippines helped her train the faculty and students of UTB, ESPAM MFL, and MAGAP El Rosario Quito. So from May 23 to June 12, 2015, they demonstrated various technologies to hasten the skills of the participants on advanced reproductive biotechnologies such as in vivo collection of embryos, embryo transfer, artificial insemination, pregnancy diagnosis, rectal examination, embryo in vitro production, and cryopreservation utilizing animals in the slaughterhouse, in ESPAM MFL, and in El Rosario Quito, and the laboratory activities were carried out at the laboratory of ESPAM MFL. Aside from this, those 3 international and major training courses on embryo in vitro production for students and interested faculty members and outsiders were also carried out at ESPAM MFL. At the UPS, Dr. Danilda helped them operationalize their genetics and reproduction laboratory and have trained their faculty staff and students both on embryo in vitro production and cryopreservation. These efforts are all aimed to develop and strengthen the skills of the collaborative partners in the said technology. Dr. Danilda was also requested by the ESPAM MFL to serve as resource speaker and trainer in their training course, where embryo in vitro production and embryo sexing were lectured and demonstrated to the participants. With all these training courses on embryo in vitro production, Dr. Danilda can say that given the laboratory facilities, the trainees can enhance their skills and be able to carry out the technology by themselves. That even when she already completed her Prometeo program and returned to her country, the technology can go on, bloom, can serve the livestock raisers and be used as tool to facilitate the livestock genetic improvement in Ecuador. It is also Dr. Danilda's desire to establish international research, academic, cultural, and development collaborations for host university to contribute to their strength and competence on globalization. So with this, Dr. Danilda was able to link the UTB and the ESPAM MFL to Hokkaido University, Philippine Carabao Center, and the UTB to the Central Luzon State University. Arrangement for international linkage with the Guangxi University of China was also initiated. Dr. Kehuan Lu, the vice president of the university, even provided the contents of the collaboration. However, although Dr. Danilda saw this report, she did not receive any communication or action from the UTB to realize the proposal, so it is pending. Anytime UTB wishes to push through it, Dr. Danilda can be of help even when she is already in the Philippines. With the international collaboration between UTB and ESPAM MFL with the Hokkaido University in Japan, Dr. Danilda was able to arrange that Dr. Walter Reyes of UTB and Dr. Ignacio Macias of ESPAM MFL could go to Hokkaido University last October 2015 for a month-long training on ovum pickup and related technologies, a laboratory procedure and techniques on quantification of reproductive hormones. Everything was arranged at Hokkaido University, such as accommodation and documents needed by them for visa. Unfortunately, due to budgetary constraints and other university-related concerns, their training program was rescheduled for this year. Dr. Danilda also initiated international collaborations for UTB with India through Dr. Misra, Vice Chancellor of Maharashtra Animal and Fishery Sciences University, which is the largest veterinary animal and fishery sciences university in India, with constituent 5 veterinary colleges throughout India, 2 fishery colleges, and 1 postgraduate institute of veterinary and animal sciences, and 96 recognized diploma schools scattered all over the state, awarding diploma in livestock management and dairy production. She also have initiated the establishment of international collaboration in the USA in the University of Wisconsin-Madison through Dr. John Parrish, professor of the Department of Animal Science, who can offer trainings and advisorship for graduate studies. Also, with the Rahamangla Technological University in Thailand through Dr. Chongko Seitung, Director for Research. However, with the results of the established international collaborations, Dr. Danilda thought that UTB is not yet ready to embrace many international collaborations, so with this, she did not continue. Nonetheless, if UTB is ready and if it needs her help, Dr. Danilda is willing to extend the help even if she is already in the Philippines. Proposal on Lib and Nilda. Dr. Danilda have visited both cattle, Dueños Farm and Buffalo Farm, Olsen Farm in Ecuador. She has also attended livestock fairs organized by various associations of ganaderos. So she saw the presence of both genetically superior and inferior animals that Ecuador have. She has also visited laboratories of various universities and have talked to ganaderos, professional practitioners, and students. She has seen some of the research and development facilities that Ecuador has and found out the need to establish a Livestock Institute of Biotechnology, or also known as LIB, in the university in order to provide a training ground to potential practitioners for livestock genetic improvement by reproductive biotechnologies. With this, she wrote a proposal and have submitted it to UTB management for consideration. The proposal aimed to organize courses on livestock biotechnology for undergraduate and graduate studies and at the same time training programs to interested clients. We have attended a meeting at Senesit one time with the Vice Rector for Research, Madam Adelita Pinto, Engineer Antonio Alcivar, and Dr. Walter Reyes Borja regarding this, and she hopes that it will be materialized even when she is not in Ecuador anymore. Also, Dr. Danilda have talked to some personnel in MAGAP and they have requested her to prepare a proposal on livestock development programs, so she wrote and submitted to them the proposal on the establishment of National Institute of Livestock Development by Agrobiotechnologies, or NILDA, that will serve as research and development arm of MAGAP when it comes to livestock biotechnologies. It encompasses establishment of 2 satellite laboratories, one in Upland, El Rosario in Quito, and one in Lowland, Hacienda La Clementena, in order to address the issues and concerns regarding differences on the production of various breeds of animals and identify which breed is really good in a certain agroclimatic condition. These facilities will also serve in the application of livestock biotechnologies in the field. The proposal is with MAGAP, and during her meeting with the Undersecretary of Livestock, Dr. Margot Hernandez, with Dr. Sainz and Dr. Palmer, assessors and advisors of MAGAP respectively, they love the idea and they wishes her to work with them to implement and run the program. Unfortunately, she needs to go back to her country, the Philippines, for some work-related concerns. Dr. Danilda had a chance to talk to a businessman, engineer Carlos Javier Andrade, owner of CJA Ranch, who, aside from maintaining genetically superior animals, also makes livestock business in Ecuador by coordinating technical services on embryo transfer. She learned from Engineer Andrade that he collaborated with people in Colombia to produce genetically superior embryos using his genetically superior animals as donors of oocytes or embryos and his bulls as donors of semen. The resultant embryos are transferred to interested clients in Ecuador. The issue is, he needs to do the biotechnology work such as embryo in vitro production in Colombia and using technical experts from Colombia because of the absence of laboratory facilities and technical expertise in Ecuador. Dr. Danilda Duran finds the issue a sad reality. So, she really encourages the Ecuadorian government such as the universities to develop, enhance, and practice the biotechnologies that are in demand to the raisers so they can support and cater the demand of their livestock industry. Training on mushroom production for food and pharmaceuticals. With the failure to establish a reproductive biotechnology research and development facility at UTB and her desire to leave a legacy on increasing its research and development area and opportunities, Dr. Danilda Duran proposed a training course on mushroom production for food and pharmaceuticals. This proposal is based on her observation that Ecuador has a lot of agricultural wastes from banana, rice, cacao, and vegetables, among others, that can be utilized to address environmental concerns and establish additional enterprises. The proposal was implemented and was carried out successfully with the help of few people, namely Dr. Renato Reyes from the Central Luzon State University and Perry Arishofana Duran of the Rural Transformation Movement from Philippine Rice Research Institute, also known as PhilRice. With the training course, a mushroom research and development facility emerged at the Agropecuaria with the concerted efforts of Dr. Walter Reyes, Engineer Maria Eugenia Romero, and Engineer Lenin Arana. Dr. Danilda Duran hopes that the mushroom project will expand and be able to create a fruitful and wonderful impact in UTB, the communities, and the country in general. Creation of International Office at UTB. In connection to globalization and expansion of international linkages of UTB, Dr. Danilda Duran proposed that an international office be created to oversee and attend to all the concerns of international relations of the university. The proposed international office will plan, administer, manage, implement, and evaluate the different international affairs of the university. The office shall also initially formulate institutional policies on internationalization which are anchored on national and international interests that will directly benefit the institution. A copy of this proposal was submitted to the Office of the Director for Research and the Office of Vice Rector for Research and Spanish translation was requested, but Dr. Danilda did not receive any feedback yet. Nevertheless, she hopes that these things will be realized at the perfect time. So these are the research, publications, trainings, and international collaborations that Dr. Danilda Duran have worked on as Prometeo of Senesit, hosted by the UTB. Now, she would like to take this opportunity to express her wholehearted gratitude to the people who, in one way or another, has exerted so much effort in order to make her stay in Ecuador productive, memorable, and wonderful, despite the language barrier. To the rector of the UTB, Dr. Falcone Montalban, for allowing UTB to host her as Prometeo. Without that, she will not be here. To Madam Adelita Pinto and Engineer Antonio Alcivar Torres for the support, the trust and confidence, and for the considerations and understandings in all her undertakings. They provided Dr. Walter Reyes, Maria Eugenia, and Lenin Arana to assist her in all her research, training, and development activities, even if it is being undertaken in other universities. To Dr. Aida Castro, who has been very supportive and kind, for endorsing her requests for scientific visits to other institutes and universities and her monthly reports to the Senate. To the Rector and Vice Rector of SPAM MFL for the trust and support that they professionally accorded, to Dr. Ignacio Macias Andrade, Director of Veterinary Medicine or SPAM, and Dr. Fatima Arteaga Chavez for their support to my training projects and for the research and development. To Dr. Patricia Garnica of UPS, also for the trust and confidence and for the research collaboration. The Secretaries of the Office of the Vice Rector for Research, thank you for your support. To Nori and Vanessa, economist, and Marco of the Office of Engineer Antonio Alcivar, Dr. Danilda Duran thanks you. To Gato and Pablo in Agropecuaria for the supports during the conduct of her research and trainings. To Dr. Luis Quezada, Dr. William Filian, Dr. Leandro Chavez, Dr. John Rodriguez, Dr. Sofia Rodriguez, Dr. Juan Carlos Gomez, and Dr. Jorge Sanchez for the research collaboration. To Engineer Lenin Arana Vera, who provided his car every day, even during the weekends, for 3 months, just to provide transport facility for her and her students during the conduct of her research on vaginal cytology at the Ganaderia. To Maria Eugenia for the assistance and paid services in doing language translations for Dr. Danilda to carry out her lectures and teachings so as to impart her knowledge and expertise, and so many valuable support that Maria kindly accorded both in professional and personal life of Dr. Danilda in Ecuador. Dr. Danilda thanks you so much. Special mention to Dr. Danilda's friend, Irlanda Tapia, and her wonderful family, who provided Dr. Danilda a home in a foreign land, a home that made her stay in Ecuador a wonderful and convenient one. To her friend and brother, Dr. Walter Reyes Borja, and for his lovely family, who without him, Dr. Danilda can never be here. Positive words are so many to describe all the meaningful and valuable assistance and support that he accorded to Dr. Danilda and her family. She can say that her stay in Ecuador is still productive in spite of the limitations because of his support and assistance. Dr. Danilda thanks you. There are still many people out there who have been contributory to her fruitful and wonderful stay in Ecuador. Her names are not mentioned, but in her memory, her deeds remain and will be remembered. Dr. Danilda thanks you from the bottom of her heart. She's not saying goodbye, but she wants to say see you again, maybe in the Philippines, in Ecuador, or in another part of the globe. You are all welcome to the Philippines. If there is anything she can be of help or assistance, she is just an email away. Have a blessed, fruitful, and wonderful life, friends. Glory be to God.